email is teamdan45@gmail.com. We're at Rosemont, Illinois, Stevens Convention Center for the Muscle Car and Corvette Masters. I'll tell you, I've got some great interviews. You don't want to miss the show. I got to see one of the coolest 63 Chevys ever. And plus all my friends with the Studebakers and the Atlantes. It's a great day to be here in Rosemont. And, look around and found a barn find, another great interview. So this is going to be a pretty good show from Rosemont, annual Muscle Car and Corvette show. And don't forget my email, it's teamdan45@gmail.com. Well, I spot this professional photographer taking pictures of this lovely 1957 Nomad Chevrolet, and I had a chance to talk to the owner.
My name is Dane Trash, and this is my 57 Chevy Nomad. It is the show car built in 56 to show what the Nomad would look like. It has the number 2 fuel injection unit out of the experimental division because that was the first year they were doing fuel injection. I've had the car 20 years. I'm the second owner of the car. The first family had it for 48 years. And over the last 6 months, we have had 7 high school kids help finish the restoration to get ready for the show.
So there was no 56 Nomads or 55, it was all 57?
Nope, they had 56 and 55 Nomads.
Oh, they did, okay.
They built this car early in October of 56 because the 57 model was different.
This is going to be the show model.
It was the show model.
Right,
so it went to the New York Auto Show, Detroit Auto Show, Chicago, and Los Angeles Auto Shows. And it was on the show floor with the Super Sport Corvette and a couple other prototype cars.
So I could have probably seen this car in 57 because back then my dad used to take us to the auto show in Chicago.
Absolutely, absolutely. I ran into somebody this morning at breakfast. He said he has a whole bunch of color photos from the 57 show in Chicago. And I got his information because I don't want to go through all those photos. I want to find color. I have tons of black and white photos.
Right.
And a fun thing is this is in the Life magazine, the December '56 Life magazine.
Oh, really?
Because they covered the New York Auto Show, and so the Nomad is the center picture.
Right. Very good. Very good.
Thank you, Dane. In the lobby, I spot this lovely looking, I believe it's an Auburn, which were built in Indiana. And I had a chance to talk to Dave McAllister. He's going to tell us all about this lovely car.
Hello, Magic Dave here from the Stalls Auto Museum and Music Experience. So we've got a 1935 Auburn Boattail Speedster here at the show. Now, the Auburn Boattail Speedster was sort of the Corvette of the day. And the New York gentleman that bought this car bought it with the supercharged motor, a flathead straight 8, put out 140 horsepower, and he took the car out and was just underwhelmed at its performance. But it looks like $1 million. So he initiated what you will see here and became one of the perhaps first hot rods of the period. It's a 1935 Auburn that they cut and lengthened 11 inches to put the Mac Daddy of all engines of the day, the 4-valve twin overhead cam Duesenberg Straight 8 with 440 cubic inches that put out 275 horsepower. So that put some ponies under this beautiful thing. And he Frenched the headlights into the fenders, which was a modern kind of a look for the day. And he made the trunk so that it opened so he can get the spare tire out without putting the seat down and dragging it through the upholstery. So, in a nutshell, that's what you're going to see. So enjoy it, and then come back and look at some of the other cool stuff we got at the Stahl Automotive Experience.
Okay, so where are you guys located?
We're in Detroit, Michigan, just about north of Detroit, Michigan, at 26th and Gratiot. It's in Chesterfield Township, but 26 miles north of downtown Detroit. So come and see us. We're open free to the public Tuesdays, first Saturday every month. Summer we have cruise-ins on Thursday nights. And if you want to know any something more, get a hold of the brains of our outfit, Terry, at the desk, and she'll help you out as good as possibly can be.
Thank you, Dave. And now I spot this 1950 Studebaker. That's the nose of this car, but it looks like it's a custom car. Very sharp, and it's got four-wheel steering in the front. Did this car here inspire the building of the Terrell P34, the four-wheel front steering Formula One car that was sponsored by Elf? This lovely car is called the Ice Princess, and it is part of the Klairmont Kollection. Klairmont Kollection is that great automobile museum on Knox Avenue by Belmont. You look at this custom interior, a very lovely car. Klairmont Kollection is open to the public on the northwest side of Chicago, Belmont and Knox Avenue, or Belmont by Cicero. A great looking Studebaker. I'll have to stop over and check it out at the museum someday in the near future. And now we spot another Studebaker. This is a Studebaker Lark station wagon, but it's got R2 289 with custom valve covers, supercharged, and I had a chance to talk to Steve Barry. He's going to tell us all about this car that his dad put together.
I'm Steve Barry from Kettering, Ohio. This car is owned by my brother and I, David. Our father bought it around 1969. He drag raced it 69 around 1970. Sat for years, and in the early 90s he got it together and hit every Studebaker car show in the U.S. Canada, California, drove it from Ohio. It's taken to every car show. It's a 289 supercharged V8 with a Mustang 5-speed. It's been everywhere in the country. It's a very proud part of our family.
So did it come with that engine?
It did not. It's a clone.
Oh, okay. He put that engine in?
Dad put the engine in, gathered all the parts. It's just like it was when he raced it, except for it was automatic when he raced it, and now it's a 5-speed.
No,
so,
it's a 5-speed out of a Mustang.
Mustang,
okay.
T5.
All right, so tell me about this roof here.
It's got a sliding roof, so you can carry a tree or a refrigerator or anything tall in here. It slides back and forth, so you can carry a tall...
I've never seen anything like that.
Yep. They were Studebakers way ahead of their time.
Mm-hmm.
And this car is basically, it was painted around 1970 and hasn't been painted since. So it's just been enjoyed by our family and still will be for a long time.
So you also mentioned you have an Elvante?
We do. We have a 63 Studebaker Bonnie. It is started life as an R1 car, and now it's an R2, R3 clone. It's a resto mod. It's got Corvette brakes. It's got air conditioning, and it's really nice. It's red. But we've had all kinds of Studebakers. My dad had a big collection before he passed, and we still have most of them. We have a 1960 four-wheel drive Napco Navy truck as well.
Oh, really?
Yep, we do.
Right.
So it's an unrestored old truck.
Right.
Runs and drives. So. Other than that, the stickers on the side represent. My dad had a partner. His name is Phil Harris, and they were lifelong Studebaker friends. And Phil can't make it this weekend, but in honor of him, we put these stickers on to remember my dad and his friend Phil. Lifelong Studebaker friends. Very proud moment for us.
Thank you, Steve. And now I spot this flamingo colored 1961 Studebaker Hawk, and I had a chance to talk to the owner, Pete Wendt.
Pete Wendt from Franklin, Wisconsin, and this is a 61 Hawk. Had this car almost 30 years. Before we got married, we used to go to car shows and do those kinds of things. That was cheap dates, you know.
Right.
And so by going to car shows, and she got into the cars as much as I was. And so before we were married, I said, while we're going to car shows, find a car you like, find something that you really want. Of all the cars that you see, all the different models, all the different cars.
Right.
And she saw a 61 Hawk in Flamingo. And
Compared to all the other cars at that time, the Hawk was more of a sporty-looking car to her.
It was a classic-looking car. It was special because of the fins and the white stripe in the fin. And the way the upholstery, it has the first year they used bucket seats. I mean, it was all those things that made it so much nicer than anything else she saw, you know. And again, this would have been in the early 70s.
Right.
You know?
Is that factory air?
Yes, that's the factory air. It has a new old stock condenser under the hood that I found a couple of years later.
Oh, really?
The dash panels, all the pieces are all new old stock parts that.
So you could buy, that stuff is all available.
No, it's not.
Oh, but it was then.
25 years ago, you could find stuff at swap meets.
Right.
So, in fact, the upholstery in this car is NOS, and you'll never find it again. Because if you look at it really closely, you see it has this embroidered little hawk bird in it.
No.
The only year Studebaker had custom-made upholstery for these cars was in 1961.
Wow, look at that.
So it has that little hawk bird embroidered with the silver piping.
This car here, was this color when?
Well, no. Actually, when I bought this car, it had been repainted a dirty, cruddy two-tone brown, and I didn't even realize it was Flamingo underneath until I got the car home, and we kind of started delving into it and found out that underneath it, lo and behold, it was a Flamingo car, and it was the most amazing thing that we had actually found a Flamingo car after having looked for one for over 10 years. And so she had seen this, again, a car like this before we got married, and she even matched her bridesmaids' dresses to that color. She loved it so much.
So then you had it repainted and...
Well, and so it's been fully restored. It's right down to the bare frame, put it back together piece by piece, part by part, and along about 30 years worth of work collecting new old stock parts. In fact, my wife, before she passed away in 2000, collected most of the parts for this car.
Thank you, Pete. And now I spot this hot rod, Studebaker Lark Daytona, with a R2 supercharged engine, and I had a chance to talk to Andy Beckman from the Studebaker Museum.
Hi, this is Andrew Beckman from the Studebaker National Museum in South Bend, Indiana. And right behind me here is a 1963 Studebaker Lark Daytona convertible. This particular Lark is owned by Justin Laird of Napa, California, and Justin graciously sent the car out for the Muscle Car Show this weekend. And Studebaker was actively pursuing performance in 1963. They had the Avanti, which came out at the tail end of the 1962 model year, but built as a 63. And Studebaker made the Avanti's high performance components optional in the entire line, including the convertible. And this one has a supercharged R2 engine, put out about 290 horsepower. The supercharger really gave the Studebaker V8 a nice kick, and road test of the day, these were pretty quick automobiles. They were more than a match for the other supposed high-performance automobiles on the road. This one has a 4-speed manual transmission, the T10 transmission that was found in many early 60s muscle cars. And you also had some other components as well. Disc brakes were optional across the Studebaker line in 1963.
Well, Studebaker was the first one to offer disc brakes, weren't they? Just about
Studebaker. There were some earlier disc brakes, but as far as the modern caliper style disc brakes, the Studebaker Avanti had that upon its introduction in '62, and those were actually Dunlop brakes that had originated on late '50s Jaguars, and worked great. They really hauled the car down. And again, these cars were made to go, they were made to stop. Studebaker offered heavy-duty suspensions, sway bars, radius rods. You could really outfit these cars to make what essentially was a a 10-year-old chassis really handled and performed pretty well. The stunning restoration of this car, Studebaker's Regal Red. You can get them with a black or white convertible top. And again, just a stunning example, and only a handful of these are made. I want to say it was maybe only 30 or so supercharged Lark convertibles were made that year. May have been even less, but certainly I can think only a handful that survived today. I'm looking over the camera here at Jim Pepper, the Studebaker Drivers Club's technical advisor, and yeah, check this out. You won't see many like it.
Thank you, Andy. And now we spot this 1957 all-black Studebaker Golden Hawk supercharged. And this might have been the fastest production car sold in 1957. Let's talk to the son of the owner.
I'm Garvin Piper, and this is my dad's 1957 Golden Hawk. He's had it since he was, I believe, 14 or 15.
Really?
Yep. And the interior has been done for about 50 years. So we actually had to have the padding redone under the front seats. It was old enough.
Right.
But our current upholsterer, who's actually retiring, his dad did the interior originally.
Okay.
So that's kind of how long ago that's been. And he finished it in 1996, 1997. So the restoration is 26, 27 years old at this point. And he's shown it some and kind of had it in storage for a while because our customer cars take precedence. So.
Okay, so I noticed it's got a 289. So this 289 V8 is the same 289 they still were running in 63, 64?
Yes, with some differences.
Right.
Starting in 62, they went to a full flow block, but for all intents and purposes, it's the same engine.
Right, okay. But the supercharging on here is different than what I see, so tell me about that.
They're both centrifugal superchargers, but this one is a variable speed McCulloch, whereas the other ones are Paxton's. Paxton bought out McCulloch.
Right,
but,
right.
You know, the DNA
and
is
that all goes
there.
back to Andy Granatelli, who bought Paxton, I believe, but he was
Very very involved with
and that's how he
Studebaker.
got involved with Studebaker.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
So a lot of performance history, you could say.
Right.
There, kind of starting with this car here.
So is this got a 4-speed or is this automatic?
Automatic.
Okay.
Water-cooled.
So your dad, did he buy it new? Or?
No, he bought it in, let me think here. It was
No, it was
72, give or
Okay.
take 71, 72. And this one and another one were beside each other. This one was $200 and pretty rough. For another, I think, $200 or $300, he could have driven the other one home, but you know, to a 14-year-old kid, that is a lot of money. So,
so he bought a 14. He wasn't even driving then.
No.
He just loved the Studebaker.
Yep.
He got a good deal on it. He seen it was for sale.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
In 62, so it would have been
72.
72. Oh, so it was already 12, 14 years old by then.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So,
and he only paid $200.
I believe that was the amount.
Right. So what's something like this worth now?
Probably anywhere between 40 and 80, depending on condition.
Depending on the buyer, too.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
and what the market
Yeah,
is.
if two people really want it.
Right, that's what you want. You want two people to want
Yeah.
it.
This one, another cool fact about it is it's all one color.
Yeah, most of them, right.
With the two-tone.
Two-tone,
in
yes.
fin.
Yes.
So, and being all black, too, is
Right.
kind of rare.
Yeah, that's
So,
great. All
Pretty
right.
neat car. And the color combination is also a little rare, black with the bright red.
Right.
So,
No, it's
He,
a wonderful looking car.
yeah, he kept it all original. I'm trying to think here. Even the wheel covers, a lot of people go for the finned looking covers. He kept the slightly simpler style, and
Right.
that's how we like to do them, is correct and original.
Thank you, Garvin. Now we spot maybe the most important race car at this show. It's the Studebaker Special that raced in the 1933 Indy 500 race. Let's talk to Andy Beckman again.
Hi, I'm Andrew Beckman from the Studebaker National Museum in South Bend, Indiana. And right next to me is our 1933 Studebaker Special. This wears number 34, and it ran at the 1933 Indianapolis 500. It was one of 5 Studebaker racers the company entered that year. They had a factory-back team, and they actually started racing in the 1932 race. In 1933, they took the cars and put on the streamlined bodies that you see here, and this car actually finished a team best 7th that year. Unfortunately, Studebaker was in the middle of going broke. They entered receivership early in 1933. As a result, they canceled the racing programs and the racing team was sold off. This car entered into private hands. It was used as did some other races later on in the 30s. Then the owner decided he wanted to get some use out of it, and they actually put a roadster body on there, a homemade roadster body that could be charitably described as not attractive. The car ended up on a used car lot in Sheboygan, Wisconsin in the late 50s, where later Studebaker designer Brooks Stevens found it. He acquired it and commenced a restoration to take it back to its original 1933 appearance. They commissioned a reproduction body based on photographs, and the car was completed, and it actually appeared in ceremonial to lead the 1962 Indianapolis 500, which Studebaker served as a pace car with the Studebaker Lark convertible. It remained as part of the Stevens Museum until that facility closed in 1994. It was acquired by a family in Kansas City who had the car up until just a short time ago. The museum acquired the car in 2023 as part of our permanent collection, and we're delighted to have this absolutely stunning piece of Studebaker history. It's powered by Studebaker's 337 cubic inch inline 8 engine. This is straight out of the Studebaker President. They got hotter camshafts, of course, high compression heads. They use the 4 carburetor setup, magneto ignition. The Studebaker promoted these cars as being 85% stock. And indeed, I mentioned the engines were from the President. The brakes came from the Studebaker 6. There were axles, I believe, were out of 29 to 30 Studebaker President models. The chassis themselves, however, and the bodies were built by Indianapolis race car constructor Herman Wrigley. And this car has an absolutely fascinating history. Still has its Studebaker serial number tag and on the frame rail, and it's still operable. In fact, the previous owner was they vintage raced it many times throughout the Western United States.
Right.
It was a fixture at the Road America vintage races, as well as some contests out west. It did the Colorado Grand a number of times. It did some alumni events down at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. But just a remarkable piece of Studebaker history. Many people are surprised to find that Studebaker has such a strong, if brief, history at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
Well, the one thing I always state, that Studebaker really was known as a high-performance company. So when I did the research on the Indy stuff, and I found out that Rickenbacker, who was the World War I ace, also owned the racetrack, or was involved with the race at Indianapolis. And then being able to see one of these cars now today, I think this is great. This is quite remarkable. This might be the most famous race car in the show.
Well, it certainly has a neat pedigree behind it from its original appearance in 1932. And actually, there's a YouTube clip on there that shows the driver, Tony Galata, being interviewed ahead of the race. Mm-hmm. And also Henry Ford and his family are standing nearby and they're being introduced. Encourage folks to check that out. But yeah, Studebaker, they had a 5-car team in 32 and 33, one of the largest factory-backed efforts ever to compete at the Indianapolis 500, and they did remarkably well. They weren't necessarily the fastest cars on the field, though they were certainly competitive. But you know, as they say in racing, in order to finish first, you must first finish. And the Studebakers held together. They were, durable. They made it to the full 500 miles.
The story I read is that one year they went for it, and that guy was the fastest car on the track.
1931, yeah.
But ended up crashing.
Russell Snowberger, he actually took the pole position in 31. I believe he finished 3rd or 5th that year, may have been 5th.
Right.
But even the privateers in 1933, 25% of the entrants at the 500 that year, just under that, were Studebaker powered.
Right. So they got a long history, and like I said, I always talk about the Alvante and the land speed record. And the first car I ever drove was a Studebaker.
That's awesome.
Oh, so give me the museum. You got a website and.
Folks, we encourage folks to drop by, see the Studebaker National Museum. We're in South Bend, Indiana. Folks can visit us on the web at studebakermuseum.org. Open 10 to 5 Monday through Saturday, noon to 5 on Sundays. And also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. So check us out. A lot of fun stuff to see.
Thank you, Andy. And yes, I've been to the Studebaker Museum, and it is a great museum. And now we spot this F100 pickup truck, a factory racing truck with a 427 engine. You know, I've owned 5 Ford pickup trucks, F-150s, and I have driven them almost 2 million miles. Factory built, drag truck. What a great way to end this great show. For more information on the Muscle Car and Corvette National, their website is mcacn.com, mcacn.com. Check it out and make plans to join us in 2025. How lucky am I to talk to all these great people and look at these wonderful cars. To contact me, and I'd love to hear from my audience, it's teamdan45@gmail.com. Remember, you can always search on YouTube with Dan Schmitt Motorcycle Racing for great motorcycle racing action, Dan Schmitt Politics, to learn what makes America great. And I highly encourage you to visit the World of Motorcycle Museum. They're in Winamac, Indiana, 4 miles south of North Judson on Indiana Highway 39. But give them a call first at 574-896-3172. It's a great trip and a great collection of motorcycles. And to pick up a copy of your Team Chicago history package, go to Rich's Yamaha in Lockport, Illinois. But give them a call first at 815-838-8130. Their website is richesyamaha.com. And if you want to learn more about motorcycles, there's nothing like going to a swap meet. Here's some dates in 2025. Springfield, Ohio, Princeton, Illinois, Woodstock, Illinois, Shepherdsville, Kentucky. Go to walneckswap.com for more info, walneckswap.com for more info, and I will be at Woodstock.